Hi, everybody. This is Dan Stolbarger. Welcome to this week's KFIR Middle East Update. It is the week looking back. It's August 1st. We're going to look back over the last week of things that transpired in Israel, primarily the Middle East. A reminder, make sure you grab the PDF PowerPoint that accompanies this video. And then for the next 2 weeks, I will be in Israel, and so the YouTube will not be available, but I will have a PDF PowerPoint posted each week from Israel. Okay, with that in mind, let's look back on this last week. Judicial reform, obviously big in the news. Washington, Biden's administration is reportedly pressuring Netanyahu to form a unity government, to freeze this judicial reform. Again, the carrot that they're dangling out there is Saudi Arabia, that if Israel were to calm things down, make concessions to the Palestinians, by the way, major concessions, then there's a chance that the Abrahamic Accords would welcome in the Saudis. That ain't going to happen. No. Bottom line is that Israel will weather this storm regarding the judicial reform and once again be completely united as a country, especially in light of the drum, the war drums beating from Iran to Syria to Lebanon to Gaza. Nothing will unify Israel more than these sort of threats. Interesting that Lapid claimed right before the vote for the judicial reform that there was an agreement that was reached, 11th hour agreement with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu regarding the judicial overhaul, but the hardliners, in his words, the extreme right, Ben-Gvir and Minister Yariv, Levin, and we'll talk about him later in this, are the ones that blocked this finalization. And so the opposition walked out. It was a vote 64-0 because the opposition walked out, and that's where we sit now. Regarding the Mossad, the chief, we just mentioned the Saudis and possible negotiations taking place. Biden administration right in the middle of all of this. And so the Mossad chief visited the White House last week to discuss the Saudi normalization. This is David Barnea. His visit is seen as part of the Biden administration's full-born effort to reach a deal. I think the Biden administration is desperate to come up with something that will allow them to have some sort of ability to say, look what we've done in terms of with the upcoming elections. And so we'll wait and see what transpires here. So that's this week. Now we'll jump into some specifics. I mentioned Yariv, Levin. I'll get that right sooner or later. Some are calling him the next prime minister. He's the architect, the mastermind of this judicial reform. Some call him a snake in the grass, but make no mistake about it, middle right to extreme right are looking at him as possibly, because we're always wondering who's next. Whether it's with the Palestinian Authority, the big question, who's next? After Abbas gives up the ghost, we don't really know. There's great debate. Now the question's going to be, who's next in Israel? And so we want to keep our eyes on Yariv Levin, all right? Likud and Lapid. Again, we've got now the extreme left that controls the media, the liberal media. And so there's some sparring going on between Lapid and Likud, the party, the right political party in Israel. And so the prime minister's Likud party is taking aim at Yair Lapid after he's demanded an 18-month legislative freeze as a precondition to start any sort of compromise talks. And again, they went on to say 18 months? Are you kidding me? A year and a half? And then this is what they leak. Let me get it right. Yair Lapid is ready to talk with Abbas, or Abu Mazen, a nickname for the Palestinian Authority president. He's willing to talk to him without preconditions, but for Likud, he's setting a list of preconditions for his talks. And so 18 months, not going to happen. But with that said, Israel is still, from the outsider's perspective, I mentioned that nothing unites Israel more than the threats of their enemies, but this should be a call to prayer. The judicial reform has divided the country. These are some pictures here. That's why it's important to grab that PDF PowerPoint, and an encouragement for Christians, calling them to prayer. As you look at the flags and the divisions that are taking place, we're reminded of Ezekiel 37, verse 22, and we're praying this. And I will make them one nation in the land on the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king over them all. They shall no longer be two nations, nor shall they ever be divided into two kingdoms again. Ultimately, we know that king will be Yeshua, Jesus, but may Israel be united at this time and not divided. May that be our prayer. And then we mention the north. Tensions are rising. Israel is aware of the threats of Hezbollah. Last week, the terror group, Hezbollah's terror group, Radwan, again, walking a tightrope on the Israeli border, carrying large bags which are assumed to be holding weapons. The IDF identified them quickly and is keeping a strict eye on this unit, which has reportedly been trained to infiltrate Israel in case of hostilities, and to take civilians, hostages, kidnap soldiers, and even take over Israeli settlements. No clashes yet, but the clock is ticking. The cauldron is boiling and bubbling over. As this next article, war drums beating. Security officers and members of the IDF said the risk of war with Hezbollah is the highest since the end of the Second Lebanon War in 2006. Netanyahu's been briefed. A select group of ministers met close to the Jordanian border, close to the Lebanese border, giving Bibi a first-hand sight of what's taking place. Military intelligence officials are describing how there's been attempts to incite terror in the area, again, all funded by Iran. Make no mistake about that. And then just an article once again for Biden, Stay Out of It, Joe. That's the name of this article. The Biden administration is doing the same as the Palestinians. They're denying Jewish ties to the Temple Mount. Again, Ben Gavir's recent on the 9th of Av, Tisha B'Av, Ben Gavir's visited the Temple Mount along with about 2,000 other Jews. And again, America, Biden says that's a shame. You shouldn't have done that. Again, the Temple Mount, the temple, there's a Jewish presence on the Temple Mount. Ben-Gvir and his supporters essentially are bringing this to the attention of the world. The Temple Mount essentially should have never been surrendered in the first place to appease Muslims. And so, again, stay out of it, Joe. And then as we kind of continue on, no big surprise here, Satan and the Jews, the rhetoric that's coming out of the Palestinian authorities, religious anti-Semitism has reached new heights. In Islam, it is Satan who disseminates evil and falsehood in the world. And one of Islam's goals throughout history is to defeat Satan. And now this just out. The Mahmoud Abbas's advisor on Islam now has made the comment that Satan has taken the form of humans, specifically the people of the book, that is, Jews who are dedicated to the evil of turning Muslims into apostates. Al-Habash is his name. His conflict with the Jews goes back in early history when the Jews, he goes on to say, chose to follow evil and became Satan himself. And so, again, saying that Jews are Satan is bringing this PA anti-Semitism to a new level. And then finally, on a positive note, I'll be here on Sunday. I'm walking this bridge. This is the new suspension bridge, the longest bridge in Israel, in Jerusalem, newly constructed, 202 meters, 663 feet long, and the bridge connects the slopes of the Hinnom Valley to Mount Zion. I can't wait. This is going to be an amazing experience to walk through this gate. You can see the photos of this bridge that is. And just an encouragement. We're going to Israel in February of 2024. All of the information on that trip is on our website, and it's February 21st through March 1st. Check it out. Join us. It's going to be an incredible time. Now, as I mentioned, leaving for Israel on Friday, and I'll be there through the 17th. I'll keep giving information, but from Israel itself. So make sure that you get all that information from our PDF PowerPoint. Again, I will post that on YouTube as well. Also, we do have a trip at the end of this year, or actually in the fall, October 1 through 12. We have one seat left now for our Journeys with Paul. And we're looking forward to this experience of seeing the churches of Revelation. We'll see 3 of them, Pergamos, Ephesus, and Smyrna. And then we'll go on and journey with Paul. That's the name of it, right? We're going to see Philippi, Thessalonica, Berea. We'll go to Athens. We'll go to Corinth. And then we're going to fly to Rome. So one seat left. If this is something you're interested in, again, holygroundexplorations.com. So that is our report for this week. I'll look forward to doing a video once I get back. But in the meantime, remember, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. God bless you and shalom.